Greetings, peace and blessings be unto you. I am Minister Jamie Eatman, and I am on the rise. I'd like to thank those of you who will be joining me or see this later. I'd like to thank you all for joining me. I always begin with prayer. Let's do that now. Most Holy Father, we most humbly come before you, giving you honor, giving you glory, and giving you praise. And Father, we just thank you for all that you've done, all that you're doing, and all that you're going to do in our lives. We thank you for this day that is, um, I guess, historical in a roundabout way. We, as a people, people of color, supposedly have been asked to do a collective action. But Father, as I go through this program, I pray that you open eyes, ears, minds, and hearts. There's something we said that'll be an encouragement, that we might better be able to deal with the situations and circumstances that we now face. I pray that as a people, I pray that as your people, you will forgive us for any sins we've committed knowingly or unknowingly, that you will forgive us for our trespasses, and that you will forgive those who may have trespassed against us. And I pray that whatever's going to be said and done and be to your honor and to your glory. We give you honor and glory in all things. It's in the spirit of Christ, I pray. Amen, amen, and amen. All right, all right. Thank you all for joining me. Again, I'm Minister Jamie Eatman, and I am on the rise. I'm sitting here in my vehicle. We were en route to Augusta, Georgia for an event that we're having tomorrow. This event will be tomorrow from 10 to 3 p.m. And it is the on the rise in an ever changing world. And the theme of the topic, controlling theme of the topic, is spirit of truth. Spirit of truth. Yes. So, having gotten that in, those of you who are in the Augusta area, I do invite you all to please come out. There'll be a little bit more you'll probably see as it pertains to that. Hopefully, up until the day it actually takes place, and it will be seen. So, if you wherever you're watching me at now, you'll be able to watch the event tomorrow. Again, that's from 10 to 3. But we want to get into today's program. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today's program is interesting. There's some things that happen around me, and there was a time when I really didn't have much to say about them. And if I did, I really wouldn't voice it. But I find myself in a place, a space, and time where I no longer have that option. So today, as I go through the program, I'm going to address some things that I think need addressing. And I welcome you all's input. You do have an opportunity to share your input. If you can type into the room, I'll be more than happy to entertain whatever it is that you would share. Before I get into the program, I want to point something out. There's a thing called self-perception, and self-perception is something we dealt with in a previous program. But I want to share that term with you all in tonight's program if I can get it over here on the program. Okay, let me save that and then I can bring it over. Now, self-perception is very important. Why is self-perception very important? Because based on how you perceive yourself will determine how you um, handle yourself. And based on how people perceive you will determine how they handle you. In addition to that, we have this thing that we kind of adopted as a formula as it pertains to life. And it says that identity plus relationship equals outcome. So, how and what you identify with and the relationship you have with it will dictate your actions and how you respond to certain things. Now, self perception definition involves, it says it involves not only others see one's power, how others see one's power, but also how one perceives their own power, which can affect confidence and assertiveness. Assertiveness. As most of you all know, today is the 28th, February 28th, and there was, I don't remember exactly how it was worded, but there was a call that we as people of color not, I've heard everything from shop certain businesses to not shop at all until unless you really need something, and if you do, spend your money with black businesses. So I've heard all of that, and I'm going to address some of that, if not most of that. And I started with this term self perception because how one perceives itself will determine how one responds or how assertive that one becomes. There's a term that most people may not be familiar with. But when it comes down to getting involved in something, people will tend to get involved and be more involved when they had some involvement in what's going on. For example, myself, I'm haven't had a chance to go out. Well, I'm en route to Augusta, but my plans were to honor what was being requested. But I had some issues with that, and I'm going to address those issues as I go through. And the reason I'm going to address those issues is because, there comes a point in time where it's not enough to just be a part, to just go along and get along. And I'm definitely not one to do that, especially with the issue at hand. I think I kind of positioned myself long before this day to be about and do certain things. And being about those certain things calls for speaking to certain things. So one of the things I'll be talking about is speaking truth to power. And you might think that's what we're doing now and what we are doing. Well, I also believe in a real battle and a forward battle. So as I speak truth to power, I'll be addressing the powers that are in front of us, as well as those that are at my right, my left, and behind us. Because if we're going to fight a battle or engage in anything that's intending to bring about an outcome, we need to go about it productively. And that's a concern for me. So having said that, I want to welcome you all again. Thank you for joining me. And I hope my volume is good. I'm going to play a song and I'm going to listen to how it comes through to make sure that my volume is good. So the song I'm going to play for you all is this. This song here is called "Continue Ye," and I'm playing it because where we are now, there's something that we're doing it, and we have to have a reason to do it. And it has to be greater than we are. And if there's any motivation at all to do anything, usually the greatest motivator of them all is love. So I'm going to share this with you. It started, and again, I'm right now parked on the side of a gas station, and
herein is my Father glorified, that he bear much fruit, so shall he be my disciple. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Continue in my love. In my love. Oh yeah. Continue in my love. In my love. My Father glorified, that he bear much fruit, so shall he be my disciple. Yes. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Continue in my love.
Greetings and welcome back. Welcome back. If you can hear me, please let me know. Can you hear me, Gmira? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, type yes in the room. Would you- Okay. Hold on just 1 second, please. Okay, you can hear me. Great, 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 great. All right, then we'll just go on from there. I want to thank you for joining me. And G Poke, check your Facebook Messenger. May not have sent it to you through the other one, but check there, please. Okay, that song, "Continue Ye in My Love." You know, some of our greatest battles have been won because of love, and some people have been defeated because of and that becomes important because when love is on your side, you know, the we people who they call faith community, we say that God is love, and if love is on your side, that means God is on your side. And you know, we got all those wonderful scriptures that said, and if God be for you, he's more than the whole world against you. There's so many things there that go along with that, but love is very significant. And when you think about what's going on today, even down to the point of this thing with the what we've been asked to do as far as the shopping and all of that, there's some reason behind it, and it came about as a result of some people coming together and looking at and deciding how we could make an impact or make an impression. We live in a world today that, you know, as we try to come together, if we're not careful, we end up dividing ourselves even more. There's something that's going on today that's called, I think it's the I4 revolution, industrial four industrial revolution, 4IR. But what it is now, if you look around you, the technology and everything that's going on, it's getting to the point where people are about to be, well, they've already been losing jobs and they'll be laid off even more. So as this revolution continues, it's going to bring about some change. And we want to be prepared for that change. And right now, there's some things going on. And, you know, being a black man and having people of color asked to do this, you know, I'm one of those individuals. I can comply, but I'm a firm believer in an after action review. And because today is Friday and it so happened that today is the day, I'm going to speak on that. So maybe my comments will be heard tomorrow if someone chooses to share them or stumble across them. But we as a people, we need to wise up. And I say that because I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people go back to the time frame when we had our flourishing cities, Black Wall Street. And there's a couple other names they use. But when they look at those areas and those areas were destroyed, they look at it and it's easy to say that the white people destroyed that. And that would be the truth. No one could argue that. But in reality, I'm still reminded of the words that he who gets behind in a race must forever remain behind or run faster than the man in front. Those are words that were said by Dr. King. And what Dr. King was talking about at that point is sort of like what I just made reference to Black Wall Street. When it was burned down, the people were challenged to rebuild it. And as they rebuild it, and I think history does record that it never returned to its former glory. And that's with most things. But it's not because of what the enemy does that it doesn't return. It's really because of we. For example, right now, we've been asked to do something behind DEI. You know, depending on who you ask, you get a whole lot of different definitions as it pertains to what DEI actually represents. And it's not my intent to get into that on the program. But what I do want to get into is what has been asked and moving forward as a people. If we look at what's going on in this industrial revolution, we should see, and I would inform those who didn't know and remind those who do. Supposedly, we're moving away from what we call fiat or our normal currency to a digital currency. And when that is finished, that's a part of that revolution. And when that is finished, then we will be using a digital currency versus what we know as a currency today. I can imagine that there'll still be some currency like that. I can remember my grandmother used to have these silver dollars, this coin that she had. They're worth a lot of money now, probably, but she kept those. Even though they went away from that and went to the dollar and all that, she hung on to the things that she had because people are like that when it comes down to money and currency. But those things that she had that, they were passed on or people argued over them, whoever ended up with them, they were just relics. Now they were of value, but I say that to say that time went on and they got to the point when people went to work, they didn't receive those relics that she had. They receive money. And today, life is going on. And as life goes on, we want to be able to take advantage of the move forward. We want to be able to rise to the occasion. And what is the occasion? It's the fourth industrial revolution. There's a lot more to that than just those letters, 4IR. When I found that, it kind of caught me off guard because the first time I'd heard it, but I do know what it is. So when we think about that, what's going on around us, we have the issue with the crypto. If we look at it and want to use it as an example, there was a boast by the Democrats at how much money Biden had saved up, and between him and Kamala, how much more they had than Trump. Trump, this is a lesson in this industrial revolution. Trump created a coin, or there were already coins before he created the official coin. And these coins were used to raise funds. They were called meme coins. And these meme coins served a purpose. So as they raised funds that he probably wouldn't able to raise for himself, because most of the people probably was fed up with him that had donated to him and they sent their money elsewhere. But to make a long story short, this industrial revolution is a very powerful one. It's a very decisive one. If you look around you, there's the BRIC nations. The BRIC nations have been, I don't know the exact year, but I think as early as 2015, they started amassing or coming up with the intent to come up with a currency of their own so that they would not be subject to the US's dollar. And experts say they could never really get away from it, but the fact that they will decrease their use of it will eventually hurt the dollar and cause it to decrease in its value. Well, we already have seen that. We know what that looks like. But I'm going to continue on here. So when we talk about this industrial revolution, and here we are in the midst of it, and Trump goes into office and he's doing all kind of things here. And our response to what is being done is that we would actually call for a I guess the equivalent to a boycott. And the business that we're boycotting, I can relate to and understand why. But when I look at what's going on, it's really interesting because we're in an industrial revolution. We should be, in a sense, at our best, firing on all cylinders. And as I look at what has been asked of us, in my mind, it doesn't amount to much. Because I look at holidays. I look at if there's a blackout in the city, it would be the equivalent to what we're doing now. So it kind of slows business. And if we want to make a statement about how much money we make and the impact that we can make, that's a well-known fact of how much money we have, how little we spend in our community. And as a rule, something that we are known for. And rather than do something to show that we're actually empowered, we're doing something that is kind of status quo. And I think most people are going to comply, and most people probably wouldn't verbalize this. I think afterwards, there probably will be something said when people see the numbers as to how that that abstaining from spending impact the budget, if there's a way of actually tracking that. But I want to go beyond that. I want to go to the point of empowerment because as I stated, I want to talk about power. And one of the things with power we need to realize is that power is one of those things that it doesn't concede anything without force. That's a well-known quote. Power concedes nothing except by force. That may not be verbatim, but that's my paraphrasing of it. In other words, if you don't demand something, you aren't usually going to get anything. If you look in history, you'll find that it was when the squeaky wheel actually got to a point where it was intolerable that we see change come about. Sometimes it was peaceful and other times it was not. But we want to make sure that we know that when it comes to power concedes nothing except by force. So when you look at what is the intent of what we're doing, if we're intending to show that we have power, we're going to have to do better than we are doing with this moment and this episode here. So as we move forward, hopefully there'll be some more thought put into this next go round. And I am going to offer what I would consider a suggestion, because if we're looking at ourselves as a people of power, I've seen where individuals talked about looking for places that are alternative for Walmarts and so forth. You know, if you can imagine when there was the threat of, we just went through the crisis, and when the shelves were bare, when enough people responded and looked for a particular item, the shelves were bare. When those shelves went bare, that created a situation. And I'm saying that because one of the biggest things that we have to realize is supply and demand. We need to become smarter and start putting some things in place. It isn't enough just not to shop with someone. We need to come up with a plan where we are actually generating some resources toward building and establishing. I was asking my wife a question about how did most things move in America? You know, some of the companies that we're looking to boycott, rightfully so, I guess, in people's minds. For me, I have a belief that, you know, it's not so much who I boycott that makes a difference, but where and how I spend my dollar. That's what makes a difference. So my thought is, during this time frame, we there should have been an effort to empower ourselves to maybe, since we weren't spending, maybe a fund where $10 was invested, and it would be something that would empower or work toward a project that as we move forward in the future, some resources in a sense. So when we look at it from that sense there, I see that as sort of a demand, and to show again that we have the money. Yes, we have it. It's a known fact. But some of the things we don't have are the resources and so forth that some people seem to think that we do. We're going to work diligently at getting them, but we need to work smart, because there are some people that supply some things that even get our dollar that may not be on that list that we want to boycott. But if we spent our dollars more wisely, we would gain more respect. And if we gain more respect, then maybe there was some of this fourth industrial revolution things that could combine that would help us out some. And I got a little bit of that as I get a little bit deeper. But right now I want to talk about movements of power. I was doing a study, and I'm not going to try to get it all in here, but I was looking at some of the past movements. And in the past, when we had movements, those movements came with a purpose. Some of them were very interesting. I was surprised that even during the time when hip hop started, that there was a push for education, an education type movement. And what is, I guess, reverted to now is a lot different than supposedly what it started out, or the intent that it started out as being. But here we are now. We're a people. We have some things behind us. We have some people that have gone before us, and they have done some great things. When depending on, I would say, depending on who you ask. I have a friend that I talked to, and he made the comment to me, and he made it a generational thing. What has your generation done with all the marching and so forth? That's where an organization like On the Rise comes important, because it's about educating, motivating, and inspiring individuals to rise above life situations and circumstances. But those who may not know it, our situations and our circumstances are the same. So when we start talking this generation, that generation, that's divisive. That's division. And this is not a time for division. This is a time when we should be pulling together, using not only our resources, but our brains. If we are so a one person, a one generation is so smart, there should be some dialogue. There should be some reasoning. And what comes from that reasoning should be something that works for the people as a whole. You can rest assured that around the world, as you see people rising up, as you see people breaking yokes off their neck, if you see people that were once had still being ruled in a sense, if you think about comparison wise, America, and we say about being here in America as black people that were in slavery. If you can imagine being in Africa and they were colonized, and the people that colonized them were still there on their land. Some of that has changed, and some of those people are being put out. There's a move that's going on now, as Ezekiel said, the bones, the noise, the wind is all going on, and it's spiritual, it's scriptural, and it's happening now. So when I say that there's a move going on, and we are either going to be a part of it and move ahead and rise to the occasion, or we're going to be a part of it, and some people that are in power will solidify their power, and we will remain in our position that we're in now. And when our children, our youth look back, just as this young man did, they might actually be correct when they ask, what did our generation offer? But again, we're at a time things are changing. There are movements going on. There have been movements in the past, and there are movements today. And as we move forward, and I say we because it has been, or it's in my spirit, to build a community, the On the Rise community. The On the Rise community is a community educating, motivating, and inspiring individuals. If you think about the concept, we've always heard each one reach one, each one teach one. Well, that's what On the Rise is about. You're being taught, you're teachable, and what you've learned, you're willing to teach. So as we go about teaching, we can't help become wiser. We can't help become smarter. We can't help become more unified. So that's the objective, the On the Rise movement. And I'll discuss that a little bit more in detail in a moment. But that's what I had to say concerning movements of power. And I want to say this right now, what we are doing is economics. And this is what I want to share concerning economics. Economic empowerment and inequity. It's an issue, and this persistent racial wealth gap. That is the evidence of a need for the economic empowerment. So what we're doing is something that needs to be done, but we need to realize that if we're going to do something economically, there's a second word there, economic empowerment. We aren't really empowering ourselves with what we're doing today. We might show someone that we have the potential for power, or we have power. They may perceive it as power, going back to what I said earlier. But if we're going to move to the point where we can be more assertive, we got to actually do something where we ourselves perceive it as power. And frankly, I'm 100% behind what is being done, but I think it's lacking. I think we need to when we sit down and look back and do that after action review, which asks the question, okay, what did we do right? I'm sure there'll be a lot of people with a whole lot of things. And then that's the question, what could we have done better? I hope there's more in that area. There are more discussion because the next question becomes, how do we fix it? And from there, we go on to when do we do it again? I saw someplace there's already some plans in mind, in motion as far as what will happen in the future. But as we move forward, we want to be prepared and we want to be more assertive. Also, when it comes down to that particular issue, this solution, develop and expand community-based cooperative businesses and financial literacy programs. And if you notice, it says through R2PIP. R2PIP is the Rise to Prosperity Incentive Program. And this is a program where if you look in history, there's always been a program as we spent like 3 weeks discussing the 10 points, the Black Panthers 10 points. A program, if there's a need for it, it will manifest itself. I love the words, if you can build a better mousetrap or preach a better sermon, the world will be the path to your door. Well, if it's something positive and calls for some commitment, I question that. But nonetheless, this is only one of several points that Rise to Prosperity Incentive Program will be looking at and we'll be discussing. And as we go forward, we will be doing what this sort of says here. At the community level, we will be going about educating, motivating, inspiring individuals to rise above life situations and circumstances. And how do we do that? We do that as a collective. So that OTR on the Rise community, it isn't any different than the community you live in, but these are individuals who have joined a community, a willingness to do this. So as we go about doing that, the communities in which we live, the communities in which we come from, they will be the recipients of our actions, our efforts. And with the additional resources, and I'll be getting more into what those are in the future, we can help but be successful if we apply ourselves. And I say we, you may not know who we are, but as we move forward, you will know and hear what the program is about. Whether you join, be a part, that's up to you. My role, my part is to go forward, share, and do. And as I go forward and sharing, do, I'm educating, motivating, and inspiring those individuals educated or having it being shared with them. Hopefully they'll be able to move forward and share it with others. It'll be that each one reach one, each one teach one. But only in this case, hopefully we will be able to reach masses as a mass. As the mass grow, so grow the masses. Okay, so having said that, there's one other thing I wanted to speak on concerning that. I mentioned earlier about the fourth industrial revolution, the blockchain. If we don't have some knowledge concerning the blockchain, we're going to miss out. And I have done my part. I met a young lady last night, 2 nights ago, and she said that she wrote some programs for the blockchain because we as a people need to know about it. And that was it. And so obviously she is a forward-thinking individual. But Rise to Prosperity has assumed a role educating, motivating, and inspiring. So when forward-thinking people come together with a task that needs to be done in a season and an hour like this, it's almost makes sense that if God is with them, they'll be able to come together and get some things done. So I'm looking forward to working with not just her, but other communities as well. And let me say this about community. We are divided in so many areas. As I look around me, there are a lot of businesses because they have their niche that they want to operate within that. But we need something that's going to pull people out or pull them together, regardless of where and how it is they operate, for a collective operation that's going to benefit the people. And that's what that Rise to Prosperity Incentive Program is about. So, as you can see, it's not about me, it's about the people. And if we can carry it out, it'll be a blessing to the people. If we can move forward and walk in it, we could be able to move some people forward, and not necessarily they'll walk in it, but they rise to the occasion. And when we rise to the occasion, we're then positioned to be able to educate, motivate, and inspire others to do the same. I'm reminded of the words that it's not my inadequacies that frightens me most, but my greatness. That sounds like a boastful statement. But if you ever get to the point where you realize that there is the potential for greatness, if you see that little spark of it within yourself, and you begin to see the challenge of bringing that out of yourself, and possibly doing that which is purposed in you for that greatness, you realize it ain't no joke. It's not a simple task. I read that poem, and when I read it, I understood it. But when I began to experience it, and the question asks, who am I to play small? Playing small does not benefit anyone. So if you have any potential greatness, I encourage you, rise to the occasion. What's the occasion? You'll know when you get to it. When you're confronted with it, you'll know. If you rise, you'll have a testimony and you'll share it. If you don't, it may be something between you and God, but you'll never forget it. Trust me, you will never forget it. I'm going to move on, and I want to talk briefly here about truth to power, speaking truth to power. That's a interesting phrase, speaking truth to power. When you look at truth, truth forever on the scaffold, truth is always building, truth is always correcting, truth is always molding, truth is always shaping. And why is truth doing something like that? Because most things in life are deceptive. Most people in life have been deceived. So how do you change that? You educate, you motivate, and you inspire. Have I said that enough? No, I haven't. I haven't begun to say that enough. But that's how you go about it. The scripture says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. In Dr. King's day, as great as his motivation was, with as much as he was able to achieve, he didn't say we are there now. He said, I may not get there with you. In other words, there's some things to be done that somebody has to do, and that somebody might very well be you. But you can only be that someone if you're willing to rise to the occasion. So let's go back for a moment. Let me kind of digress. When I just spoke earlier concerning the boycott that we are doing now, it's not that I have a problem with the boycott. I like the economic piece, but the piece that's missing is the empowerment piece. It's a time now where it's not enough to say, I'm going to shop a black business. Somehow we if we're not careful, we're going to go backwards. If you can think about the words that say, if you're going to do something or be somebody, be the best at whatever you are. And if you think about those terms, the best at whatever you are, there's a reason for that. If you're going to be the best at whatever you are, that means that you have to not only rise to the occasion, but when you rise to the occasion, you have to be there. You got to come there with your armor on. You got to come there prepared. You got to come there with the mindset, when I've done all else to stand, I'm still going to stand. You got to come with the mindset that if I can't run, I walk. If I can't walk, I'll crawl. But I'm going to keep moving. You got to come with the mindset that no matter what is before me, what's the occasion, I'm going to rise to the occasion, because only in rising to the occasion can I rise above it. And when we come and we bring that mindset, believe it or not, it's contagious, because somebody is going to see it. And that's what that greatness does. Greatness is in all of us. And when we exercise our greatness, we liberate others to exercise their greatness as well. So as we go through life and we encounter these challenges, it's not enough to just go out here and in a passive manner to say we're going to do something. We don't want to be passive anymore. We want to be assertive. We want to be so assertive that while, if I were to use this as a teaching moment, while we were busy saying we weren't going to buy, we will be busy saying, what can we save? If you watch on some of the shows when they do their fundraisers, the BBN or BBC, whatever it is, CBNN, Christian Broadcasting Station, whatever it is, when they do their fundraiser, there are phones on all the time and people are calling, they're donating. They establish a means of communication in that manner. We need to be thinking more assertive. The little passive thing that we're doing today, let's just say we've gotten that behind us. But as we move forward, if we have any input sitting at anybody's table and the question comes up, empowerment should be a part of that conversation. I want to welcome Miss Flazzy TV. Welcome, peace and blessings. And she says, greetings, peace and blessings. And that she is watching from Ghana, West Africa. Yes, a beautiful place, Ghana, West Africa. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so as I stated, we want to be more assertive. We want to be more present. We want to be more involved. And there's some things going on around us that we have an opportunity to really be involved in. I'm going to share this with you all. As I look around me and what I am doing with the Rise to Prosperity Incentive Program, it's not frightening, but it's almost like discouraging, because everywhere I turn with this fourth industrial revolution, indeed, most people understand the fourth industrial revolution. Everybody has we all claim we have a movement, and we all claim we have a community, because on the internet, Facebook community, Twitter community, so that's social media. But these are social communities. Social communities do not empower. And if we're going to move forward, it's time that we start looking at empowerment. So I would encourage you all, as you learn more about the Rise to Prosperity Incentive Program, and you will see a show like this, which is the OTR, On the Rise movement. They all tie in together. We're coming out, as the scripture tells us, be ye in the world, but not of the world. We're in the world. We're in this United States. We've come up from slavery. We're here now where somehow we want to demand what we want to demand. We want to demand it because we want to demand it. But regardless of what's going on, demand and want, but we need to be empowered. There needs to be a rear battle and a forward battle. When we look the forward battle, that's kind of what somebody sees themselves as doing now. But the real balance, when we going back in our communities and we are bringing our people together, and we are looking at what we have, and we are looking at how to make the most of it. Not only that, we might be taking inventory of who's in our communities and what they're doing. And do we really want to spend our money there? And how much support are they giving back? And we're going to talk about that later, because in reality, a business person has to make money to be successful. But at the same time, there's some things going on with technology that if we take advantage of it as a people, we could actually answer or address some of our issues as it pertains to finance overnight. But it's going to take the three C's. It's going to take consideration when we sit down and consider the things before us. It's going to take cooperation, because when we consider those things, if we're going to address them, we're going to have to address them cooperatively. And then there's going to have to be commitment, because if we are not committed to it, it's not going to happen. So that becomes very important. Those three C's: consideration, cooperation, and commitment. And instead of throwing something half half-assed together and asking everyone to go along with it, when you step out there and you do something like that, you put it in. It's like you have put yourself out front, and you're asking something to be done. And if it's not done, it's not a reflection on you, it's a reflection on the people. If we're going to move forward, we need to make sure we deliberate. Our steps are deliberate and they're toward a definitive end. So as we get beyond this day and we start looking at tomorrow, it shouldn't be coming from someone outside of our community. They should be talking to the community. That's one of the problems we have as a people. We don't have an established communication network. And if you think it's Facebook or Twitter, you got another thought coming. That's how we set ourselves up for failure. We got some challenges ahead of us. And I won't say difficult days, because it's really not that difficult. Our biggest challenge is actually coming together and building the communication issues. During the Montgomery boycott, they came up with a transportation system. If we're going to come up with some places that we're asking people not to shop, then we need to come up with a means of some alternatives. And until we can do that, we need to have something in place that we are all focusing on. So it's bringing something back to us, and we can measure our success. I want to welcome my sister, Martha Sue. Greetings, peace and blessings. And she says, peace and blessings from Moundville, Alabama. Thank you for joining us so very much. I've learned a lot about Moundville and our history. I'm going to be learning even more as we go. But, as we address this topic, we're really looking at some things that are very important and moving forward. And as I say, and moving forward, this is what we have to realize. When we look at ourselves, and I had this earlier, I'm going to put it up again because it's very important. When we look at ourselves, it's really about perception. How do we perceive ourselves? It's not only how others see one's power. People see us as, in a sense, being powerless. And maybe we see ourselves as being powerless. Maybe we think we're really doing something in the fact that we just not going to shop and show them that we have the money. And that's good, because if that's where a person is, that's great. But my thought process is this, as you all have heard me mention on this program before. It's already known how much money go through our community. It's already known how little of it we spend with our own people. And what do? We turn around and say, we're not going to spend money. And if you do have to spend money, get that if you do have to. It should have been intentional. Today, we're going to spend money. Today, we're going to save money. Today, we're going to give money. It should have been something purposeful. And it would have made an even more powerful statement. It's like if you're in a race and you decide, today, I'm just not going to run. I guess you're hoping the person you're in the race with isn't going to run either. But that doesn't make much sense. So as we go forward in the future, hopefully we will have something more to add with this. We were happy to circulate that. I can't begin to think about how many times I got that same little comment about what we aren't supposed to do. And in my mind, I'm thinking empowerment, but everybody else is thinking economics. It's time that we realize that it isn't enough just to have the money. We already have the money. People have been telling us that for years. There was a study done by a sister Anderson. I don't remember her first name, but she wanted to live black, buy black, do everything black for 1 year. And that was a challenge because much of what she needed wasn't within the community, down to grocery stores, gas stations. I spoke with a young man today. He was from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and he said to me, of all the black businesses we don't have a gas station. Whatever we are missing, somebody should feel it a privilege to supply it if we're going to operate like that. And we need to get beyond the mindset of thinking that people should shop with us and we should support each other solely because we're black. There used to be a time when we worked harder at providing something that was better because we were black. But seemingly now the mindset is as long as it's black, that's nothing wrong with that as long as we are striving to be the best at whatever we are, whatever our service we offer. If we're striving to make that the best service, that's great. I want to kind of begin to wrap up here. And I want to thank those of you who did listen. And those of you who get to hear this later, I'm going to share it. And just to be clear, yes, I am being critical of what we've done. And yes, I am hoping that the people that plan this will be as critical as I am being, because when we become critical of our actions, we modify our actions and bring about different and better results. If we don't take the time to look at what it is we're doing, we'll make the same mistakes repeatedly. So yes, I am being critical, not to stand out, not to oppose, but because I am on the rise. And being on the rise means that we're educating, motivating, and inspiring. And self-perception, as it says right here, involves not only how others see one's power, but also how one perceives their own power. If I think of myself as a part of the group that did this action, I see us as being far more powerful than we are demonstrating at this moment. So I see that, I believe that, and I'm hoping that we will begin to operate as that. That way I can have confidence in what's going on. That last phrase, which can affect confidence and assertiveness. When people have confidence in what's going on and what's being done, they'll get behind it 100%. And that's the goal. That's the objective. That's what we desire. And when we can get that, we'll be the ones that are talked about. We might even be the ones that are envied, maybe even the ones that are hated, only because we're the ones that'll be on the rise. And I encourage you all to join us for that. My cousin here, Lonnie Eatman, is either my cousin or my brother. Peace and blessings. That's my cousin. And peace and blessings be unto you as well. Thank you for joining us. We're about to wrap up here, but this is what I want to say. When it comes down to power, I'll go back over my little power points, power statements. Individually, they kind of say it all. And one is that power concedes nothing without force or except by force. There was a song that used to say, got to give the people more power to the people, got to give the people what they want. If the people don't ask for anything, nobody's going to give you anything. So we got to know how to oppose power. And opposing power takes a power position, it takes a power stance. So when we go about, we want to make power statements. I don't know about you all, but it took me a long time to really learn to walk. And when I walk, I don't just walk. I walk with every essence of me. And when I say that, when I walk into a room, I'm walking in that confidence that we talked about earlier. Because I've suffered, I wouldn't say suffer, but I've questioned who I am. I've questioned what do I have to offer. And I've listened long enough to other people to realize that they don't have any more, in many cases, to offer than I do. And if I will use wisdom and hear what they are saying, I'll know what to speak. Two things with that. The Bible says, be slow to speak and quick to listen. You appear a lot more intelligent. That's me with the intelligent portion. And the other thing says that when you go before men in power and authority, that he'll give you what to say. He'll give you what to say. Listen to what's being said, and you'll know when to say it. And when we can do that, we're in a position at that point that we know how to do what? Oppose power. We will be able to create our own power movements. And On the Rise to Prosperity incentive program is just that. You don't believe me? Just watch. You will see. And the other thing I want to mention is just this. The On the Rise movement. And if I can get that up here. The On the Rise movement is very important, and that's floating on the screen down there. The On the Rise movement is important, and what makes it important is because if change is going to come, it has to come through an individual. And we all represent that change, but it isn't just going to happen. We got to do it. We got to bring about that change. And if we're willing to do that, we can indeed speak truth to power. What does that look like? I'm talking to my people who represent power. I may not have said what some of them want to hear, but it's true. So I'm speaking truth to power in the rear battle. This is where we're at, the rear battle. The forward battle is when those among us who have the talents to go and challenge the decisions, the laws, and whatever else that are going on. That's the forward battle, because not everybody is trained and equipped to do that. But what we are equipped to do, let us do that. Let us do that to a point that we can begin to rise above the situations and circumstances we find ourselves in. And when we can do that, when we can live up to that type of greatness, we liberate others to become great. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us. It is indeed, and I say us, my co-host didn't make it today, but I want to thank you all for joining us. It's very important that we realize who we are and how powerful we are. There's some things that have run a course, and the fact that they've run that course, we find ourselves at a point in time now where there's so much going on around us. If it seems chaotic, remember that order comes from chaos. So everything going on, sometimes you just have to say, peace, be still. And if you know how to say that, then you know what you're asking for. So I want to invite you all to join Wednesday. If you all will consider it not robbery.
Peace and blessings. You're invited to Rise to Prosperity, Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. I, Lady Antoinette, and my co-host, Minister Jamie Eatman, would love for you to join us, our panelists, and our conversation room guests Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. as we rise to prosperity.
And those of you who watch this now and those of you who watch this later, if you think I've said something just to get your attention or about views or likes, this, since the day I started or put it together, has been my advertisement. Listen.
This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of graduate. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism.
And I, for one, will join in with anyone. Don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth.
Greetings, I am Jamie Eaton. Join me Fridays at 8 p.m. for On the Rise movement.
All right, you all. Thank you for joining me. And what I say to one, what is what I say to all. Peace and blessings be unto you. I notice the numbers are starting to pick up. I encourage you all to go back and watch this from the start. I'm sure something will be said that some might find a little offensive, but let it be provoking. Peace and blessings be unto you all. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you will join us Wednesday. And if not, at least next Friday.